Welcome to the Hard Truth Show. Guys, welcome to this edition. I want to tell you what, it is a beautiful day this afternoon, the day I'm filming this, and I hope that you are having a beautiful day out there as well. This video today, guys, is going to be so important because I'm going to be covering, does the Ten Commandments still matter? Now, this is going to also be a very interesting show because I had hoped to have a public debate with Engineer 775, Scott Hunt with Practical Preppers on YouTube. And I have no hate or not my feels about it or anything towards Scott. I had offered him 2 opportunities to debate me on this subject because me and him have differing views. And, should someone else with a decent following want to debate me on this, I would be welcome at any point in time to do a civil 3-section keynotes, the keynote, the points, 3 separate segments. We each have a turn to do with a moderator. I would love to do a debate about this because I think it gets people to really consider both sides of the argument. And like I said, I have no animosity towards Scott. Wish him all the best. I hate he declined the offer because I know his viewpoint's different to mine. And I think it would have been a really good discussion between everybody. But like I said, if anybody else ever wants to take me up on this, shoot me an email, 7trumpetsprepper@gmail.com. Love to hear it. But I'm going to be putting out my thesis and my points toward the Ten Commandments still matter. And you might say, why is this important, especially on the Hard Truth Show? Guys, as preppers, and especially as preppers and people of faith, we need to be more rooted in keeping the commands now than ever in life. Matter of fact, in the book of Revelation, it is pointed out 3 times the keeping of the commands. That's important, dude. Like 2 times is enough witness for me, but 3 times, come on. And as I go through these scriptures, I kind of just want you to sit back for a minute and consider the other option of not doing them. That's all I ask because, I'll say this real quickly. I have a friend of mine and, they're homosexual. I don't go for that lifestyle, but we had a very, very productive conversation. And it really enlightened me to something, is they told me the story and they said that, their pastor was all against sexual immorality and all this stuff. This is when they used to go to church. And one day they drove by and they caught that pastor walking out of an adult store with a bag of adult stuff, And I said, the bad thing about that is I said, here you are judged for homosexuality, which I said, now that is considered an abomination. That is a very bad class of sin, right? I said, but that pastor that judged you for that probably left church, went to a restaurant on his Sabbath, which I'm sure was S-U-N day worship, and not on the Father's Lunisolar Biblical Calendar anyway. But he went there, had a piece of ham probably, which was a special sin, special class of abomination, and blasted you for that while doing the same sin. And I said that to say this, is that people that say the law's done away with will literally look down on people that are living a certain lifestyle or doing this or that they don't agree with, but yet they're breaking the Torah too. And it really occurred to me over time with this because, like, when I left SUN Day Church, last thing I was saying, then we're going to get at the scripts, and I'm going to go in on this, guys. I'm probably going to get heated in this, so just bear with me, is the thing that got me, the last thing that really stuck out to me, and I've never forgot it since I left SUN Day Church, was that I told the assistant pastor that the commandments still mattered, and he was like, well, he said, he's like, no, just lay them aside and focus on salvation. I said, let me ask you something. I said, or would you be okay if somebody slept with your wife? He's like, no. I was like, all right, that's a commandment. I was like, be okay if murder somebody? No, that's a commandment. Remember the Shabbat day and keep it set apart. That's still a command too. And so that's what I'm saying, guys. It's either just get in it or get out, hot or cold. Because the scripture is so plain that the commandments still matter. I'm going to hit everybody. Yeshua, Shaul, Paul, I'm going to go all the way down the line because I feel like that people pick and choose. And matter of fact, I want one rule in place while I read this is if you're going to judge me, if you're going to drop any hate speech in the comments, you read the whole chapter of every segment I'm taking scripture from before you hate speech me. That's all I ask. All right, I want you to read the whole chapter in context because I love how people just picking, he's cherry picking. I'm surprised they haven't come out with a new version of the Bible yet called the cherry picks. Because that's all people want to do is cherry pick scripture, right? So, all right, guys, welcome to the Hard Truth Show. Welcome to some red pills today. We're going to go on. Is the commandments still, is the Torah still matter? Okay, that's the question. The commands, do they still matter? Because in the last days, as we are preparing for the last days, physically, spiritually, mentally, as we are getting ready for the trumpets to start, as we are getting ready for all of creation to come clean up off the rails, the question that needs to be asked is, what do I need to be doing aside from my physical prepping? What do I need to do so that the Most High God's protection be upon me? Because I can have the finest tiny house or the finest fortress and the biggest bunker and the most food, but if I'm not walking this thing out, I'm going to die in the trumpets most likely. And if I do survive it, I'm still going to be burned at the return of the Most High God. So I need to get it together. So whether you're a Gentile convert from the nations to keeping the way, or whether you're a Hebrew Israelite, so-called black man that's woke up to the truth, today is the acceptable day of salvation. And today is a great time to get up in the Word. So, guys, today, in place of getting to do a debate that I wanted to do and provide that venue for everyone to see both viewpoints, what we're going to do today is I'm going to present my presentation on why the commandments are still valid. So I hope you enjoy. All right. So we're going to turn into scripts, and Jeremiah 6 and 16, I believe, is a great, premise for where that we're at today, still with people, especially with so-called Christianity, that hasn't even converted the way yet, because these people are summed up right here. It says, "Thus saith Yahuwah," this is Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu, known as Jeremiah, chapter 6:16, says, "Thus says Yahuwah, stand ye in the ways, and see and ask for the ancient paths, where's the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Also I set watchmen over you, saying, hearken to the sound of the shofar. But they said, we will not hearken." That's how it is today, guys. Nothing's changed. The times changed, but the people don't. It's the same old thing. I mean, that's why I'm saying all the time anymore that the past is indicament of the future. And I just see replay button get pushed all the time with life. All right, Jeremiah 31:33 is what it says. All right. Sorry, give me just a second, guys. Yeah, and they have turned unto me, they have turned unto me the back and not the face. Though I taught them rising up early and teaching them, yet they have not hearkened to receive instructions. And that's the thing is nobody wants to hear the word anymore. I'm sorry, I had this marked off and then I got a little sidetracked where I was at there. Is that people don't want to hear the instruction anymore. I want to hear the instruction. I want to fix whatever's broken, get it back to where it needs to be. All right? Next up. Now, most people may not be familiar with this particular book in the Bible, but now if you have a copy of the Et Sefer, Apocrypha, etc., you can read the scripture, very excellent read. It's in 1 Baruch, chapter 4, verse 1. It says, "This is the Sefer of the commandments of Elohim, and the Torah that endures forever. All they that guard it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die." Why you want to turn away from that? It's not legalism. It's life, and it's forever. I'm just going to make it rain today, okay? It's coming. Just bear with me. Psalms 19:9-11. "The fear of Yahuwah is clean, enduring forever, forever." Y'all following the trend I'm going with? "The judgments of Yahuwah are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is your servant warned. And in guarding of them, there is a great reward." Bro, sign me up. I want my reward. Man, here we are. The government was it SBA loans and all that crap, EIDL emergency loan. I literally got the email today, and that was been 3 weeks ago or whatever, that they're finally going to be doing something to try to help my business. I signed it up because of the grant. I ain't got a dime from them. I don't care. I don't need them. I just signed up because heck, the grant money, I could put that to use. Matter of fact, I was like, shoot, I'll just filter that right on through, use the funds to pay myself for work at my business, and then I'll take the funds and pay for the rest of the conference with it. But I'm just saying, like, there's no reward in trying to trust the government. There's no reward in trying to trust man. There's no reward sometimes even trusting your own companion, your own spouse. So why in the world would I not want to trust the one that has never failed, the Most High Yah? All right, and if he says keep the commands, keep them. Now, next up, Psalms 119, 105. And far away we go. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Ladies and gentlemen, legalism seems to be the word that gets slapped onto us that encourages others to keep the commands, because I think the sin in other people fires them up that they don't want to see people doing right, because it is a testimony and a witness of how wicked they are. And I said wicked because they know to do right, but they're doing wrong. And let me tell y'all something. I count myself unworthy of the kingdom because I am a sinful man by nature. I have sinned after the knowledge of the truth, and I pray the Father, y'all forgive me, but I am still sinful at times, all right? And, I need to die daily too. And I'm telling you what, like right now, if I stood myself in the judgment bar, I wouldn't let myself in, all right? And, you go into Ezekiel. Let me see if I've got it marked here. I don't know if I have it marked in Ezekiel, but I believe it's in Ezekiel 19. It talks about that in that day, Israel was so wicked that you look at Israel, and that if Job, Noah, and Daniel, some of the most righteous men that have ever lived, and I want to also apologize to Noah because I thought that he was only perfect in his generations, and that's why he was saved. But I believe it was in Sirach or Baruch that it says not only was he perfect in his generations, but he was righteous. So I apologize. I thought he was saved because his DNA wasn't corrupted by the Nephilim, but he was also a very righteous man. And Ezekiel further backs that up if you look at that now. So here you have Daniel, Noah, and Job, some of the most righteous men that's ever walked this earth. And even they would only be able to deliver their own being in that day. That's how wicked they were. And think about how wicked the world is today. And it says, as of the days of Noah, so shall it be the coming of the Son of Man. And you look how messed up the world is today compared to Noah's day, dude. We are just right on the threshold of Messiah. Right on the threshold. All right. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Right, here we go. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and guard his commandments, for this is the whole duty of a man. All right. For Elohim shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it is be good or whether it be evil. It's going to happen. And that's the whole duty of us, is to keep his commands. We are a created being. When I buy a dog, right? You buy a pet, right? That dog is to serve a function, as to be there, to be your pet, be your watch animal for somebody coming. It serves a function. You buy a tool, it's to serve a function. You buy food, it's to serve a function. That fish is a pet. I enjoy watching it swim around. It serves its function, right? That's its little world right there, right? We are a created being. If I'm just created for the goodness of the Most High, I ought to enjoy watching my life go about. That's my function, okay? I didn't create myself. So I try not to get bent up at times about why my life don't go a certain way or this way, or why I'm not rich, or blah, blah, blah. The Most High has the power to raise me up as a wealthy man like that overnight. We need to get more focused on doing his commands, rich, poor, in between, whatever, because in it is the reward of life. And, I want to live to see the new kingdom. I don't care if I'm a doorkeeper. I don't care if I'm a servant. I don't care if I'm a cupbearer. I don't care if I'm a king or a priest, whatever. I just want to be there. And I think people get, especially, and I notice this, I don't want to get off topic. I'll just say this real quick. I've noticed this with so-called Hebrew Israelites, or the so-called black man Hebrew Israelites, is now that they've woke, I see a lot of them taking the same path as the so-called Jews, the fake Jews, that, all of a sudden they're going to be high and mighty and everybody else is nothingness. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, it's just going right down the same path as I've seen in the past. And we need to quit worrying about who's going to receive title and power and all that. Listen, great for you if you're a king. And you know what? If I end up being your servant, no worries, man. I'll show up for work each day. But I think we should be focused on the salvation of other people, the keeping of the commands, and getting in there. I think the rest will sort when it comes. But people get so lost. See, that's what I'm saying. They just get lost on the keeping the commands. They get lost on this whole thing, man. And it's annoying. I mean, I can't deal with them. I can't deal with these people anymore. All right? That's why we're calling this a hard truth, too. Welcome to some of the hard truth. All right. Next up, give me just a second, guys. I want to move over here. Matthew 5. What does Messiah say about this, right? What does he have to say for it? Here he says in part of the verse, says, say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one yod or one title shall in no wise pass from the Torah till all be fulfilled. Now let's go a little further. Whosoever, I'm a whosoever, you're a whosoever, just in case you need clarification, shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, shall be called least in the kingdom of Yahuwah. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of Yahuwah. So if I encourage people to keep the commands and I keep them, I could be called great. That's another reward. I don't want to be, listen, I've been least in this world. I don't want to be least in the new world to come. All right? I've got enough of it in this one. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall no case enter the kingdom of Yahuwah. Boom. Let me tell you, there's a bunch of puffed up Pharisees today. They come in white and black and Latino and Oriental. They come in all shades. And there's a bunch of them today. And I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a bunch of them not inherit the kingdom either. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you don't take the time to try to serve Yah and keep his commands, you're going to have to pay for it one day. All right? And my thing is if you look at it, I have literally cherry picked, okay? Because it's so easy to just go to, there's just some scriptures just so easy to go to that just says it plain as day. All right? You know, like, the scripture talks about that the law, I believe David said, another one I should have marked down, is David says, I believe it is in one scripture, that the law is eternal. Eternal. Chew on that one. Okay? Eternal is eternal. It's not, well, you know, Messiah came, died, and so we can go to church on SUN Day on the pagan Roman calendar now instead of keep the Father's Looney solar calendar, and we can do this and we can do that, and we can eat pig, blah, blah. You know, what is that meme that says, Father, please forgive me for, I don't want to blaspheme, but like this meme that says, you know, that they were asking blessing on food, which was commanded not to eat, on this most unholy day, which you commanded us not to keep. And all I could think about, I was like, man, that's about like when the golden calf was made right in the side of when the 10 Commandments was being done, and people were offering up abomination worship. I'm just like, that's what we're repeating today. You know, is people just don't want to keep the commands. They don't want to honor the Father. And everything the Word says, everybody's doing just backwards. Just completely backwards, you know. Moving on. Right here, Gospel of Matthew 22 and 40 says, on these two commandments hang all the prophets. All right? And if you backlog of that, well, you say, well, what is that? Well, verse 38 says, actually, we'll go on back to right here. It says, you shall love Yahuwah Eloheka, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. The second is like unto it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On where we go back right here. On these two commandments hang all the Torah and the prophets. So on the two commands that hang, we backlog. That's to, you know, love Yah with all your heart and be in mind and soul. And to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, if you're doing all 10 commandments, you'll do just that. Because like the Sabbath is a sign. And then, you know, obviously not worshiping other deities and taking their names into your mouth, which is why I don't try to say the pagan days of the week, you know, and etc. You know, you look at all these things and then how to treat your neighbor. That pretty much Messiah really plainly laid it out right there. 10 commandments still matter. Because if you're doing these two commands, you're doing all the others. And, you know, people completely misconstrue everything that's said. And it is just absolutely confounds my mind. You know, another one I want to cover real quick, you know, Paul, it says pretty much asking them, to do away with the commands. He says, y'all forbid. He literally, he says forbid it. And that should be the end of that right there with Paul. But people's like, the biggest thing that I've noticed with individuals is some people elevate Paul's words more than Mashiach's and others. And to me, here's the deal. Paul didn't die for me. Now, had Paul died for me, I would have a lot more to listen to him. But since Yeshua died on the stake, I'll listen to what he has to say, because he came as an emissary on behalf of the Father for the whole world. So I have more stock in what Mashiach had to say than Paul. But thanks for the memo, guys. All right, moving on. James 2:18. Right here. Yea, a man say you have belief, and I have works. Show me your belief without works, and I will show you my belief by my works. All right? Because, here's the deal. If you read the book of James, the epistle of it, you literally see that faith without works is dead. And the thing that people don't understand is faith is a thought with action. So you're the belief, and you're acting it out. Now, if I say, well, I believe so-and-so is going to do this or that, that's having faith. But if you believe that something's going to happen, let me put a more clear picture of this. I believe I'm going to succeed at what I do. Now, just believing's not enough. If you actually work at what you believe in, you have a very high chance of succeeding at what you're doing. Same thing is with getting into the kingdom. I believe on Mashiach, but if I, believe that he exists is not enough. Keeping the commands and doing that which honors him and the Father, that's powerful. Okay, and right here, Romans 3:31. All right, I want to read this to you right here. This is what it says. Sorry, guys. Seeing it is one Yah, which shall justify the circumcision by belief, and uncircumcision through belief, do we then make void the Torah by belief? Never. Yea, we establish the Torah. And this is the thing, guys, is that time and again, you read Paul's writings, I never find where he says to do away with the Torah. And to me, that is the biggest issue I have with people that use Paul's writings to justify not worrying about just salvation by grace and faith situation, is because if you go that route, you're construing Paul's words. So you're having to twist Paul's words in order to preach a doctrine. If I have to stand in Judgment Day and give an account for everything I'm saying to people right now, there could be 100 people listening to this, tens of thousands of people, who knows, millions to somewhere down the road. Would I rather want to roll the dice and say, well, Father, I encourage people not to do your commands, or would I want to encourage people to do his commands? Like, is there any wickedness going to be done in doing that which is right? See, that's the paradox. I just don't understand that mentality. And let's continue. John 14:15 literally says, if ye love me, do we love him? Guard my commandments, and I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Forever. I want to repeat some of this stuff so it gets in the brain. Even the Ruach, the set apart spirit here, it's talking about, whom the world cannot receive, because it sees him not, neither knows him, but ye know him, for he dwells with you and shall be in you. All right? The Father's Spirit right here, talking about it. All right? Now, moving on. 1 John 2:4. All right? This is what it says. He that says, I know him and guard not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. If you say you love y'all, okay, and you know Messiah, but you don't keep the commandments, according to the written word, you're a liar. That's it. It's done. It's settled. I'm waiting for the jury to chime in on that one, because everybody that says don't worry about keeping the commandments, once again, the scripture just invalidated that thought process. And guys, I'm not here to argue with people. I'm not going to argue with people anymore at all. I don't care what you think. I don't. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And that's the mentality that a lot of us need to arrive at. You need to just get that place of acceptance. I love people. You don't want to walk it out? Fine. If I make it in the new kingdom, by the grace of y'all, chances are, and you might not, oh well, because you weren't going to be obedient in this life. Why give you the second one, right? Now, let's go in Revelation 12 and 17. This is what scripts say. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which guard the commandments of Yahuwah and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. Right there you go. Who's getting warred on? The people's keeping the commandments. You know, people that's living in lawlessness and serving Satan's kingdom, he don't care what you do. He's got you. So what's that to him? You know? I mean, if I'm in the middle of a war, I'm not going to shoot my civilians and stuff that live in my own land. I'm going to go shoot the enemy, the people that's opposing me. You know, I mean, this is not rocket science. All right? Revelation 14 and 12. This is what it says. Here is the patience of the holy ones. Here are they that guard the commandments of Yahuwah and the belief of Yahushua. You see that? Guard the commands, have faith in Yahushua. Guard the commands, have faith in Yahushua. Guard the commands, have faith in Yahushua. Not just have faith. Right? Am I reading it wrong? I'm sorry. Do I need to put some glasses on? I'm just saying. Guys, I'm not trying to be petty. I'm just calling it straight. All right? Here we go. Revelation chapter 21 and 24. And the nations of them, Now let's pause for just a brief second. Nations of them. Not just Israel, but the nations of them which are saved. I really had to do some deep diving here a while back because I kept hearing the nations won't make it. The nations won't make it. Salvation's only for Israel. And I'm like, okay, so why does the Torah say that those of the nations that convert to walk and serve Yah and be counted as them, why is that in the Torah? Then I look at it also in this scripture here, chapter 21 in Revelation, verse 24, and it says, and the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth, okay, do bring their glory and honor into it, and the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night, and they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. The nations. I love this, man. I tell you what, you can argue people till you're blue in the face, but you can just always have one rule, is thus saith Yahuwah. And if it is written, man, somebody's going to rise and somebody's going to fall. Okay? It's over. It's done, right? Last one, folks. Here we go. Revelation chapter 22 and verse 14. Right here. Blessed are they that do Yahuwah's commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in to the gates into the city. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'd like to submit today that the commandments are as valid today as they have ever been. I would also like to submit that the feast, which is another conversation for another time, can be seen being observed before Mashiach. Lot, before Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, they ate unleavened bread, they walked out, then there was destruction. And that was long before the Passover in Egypt. And I can just go into other examples, but it seems to me that not only is the commandments valid, not only is the Torah valid, but it was valid from the garden, it is valid today, and it is valid for all eternity to come. Praise Yah. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a simple expose and presentation from a humble Gentile that's come to know the truth and the way. And I hope it's been a good presentation to you today to encourage you to still keep the commandments. Like I said, if anyone ever would like to debate, I'm always open to it as long as you've got a good subscriber base and it can educate people, give people both perspectives. Hey, I'm willing to put the time into it, folks. I'm not ashamed of what I believe. So guys, as always, until we see you again here at the Hard Truth and on Seven Trumpets Prepper channel, hope the Most High Yah Baruch you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends, in Yahushua.